video editor extraordinaire, Duncan Higgins. Welcome to TCC Snap. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. We've just come off TCC, actually. We're
Indeed.
we're recording this just after the meeting. So I said before coming on that I'm sort of slightly high and sort of bewildered and adrenalized. But I'll try and calm down. You've got a very soothing voice, actually, so I think it will just bring in the best possible way, my energy down, just so we can have a
No,
nice
thank
chat.
you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get that a lot, surprisingly. Well, I guess not surprisingly, because if other people are saying it, then I guess it must be true.
When you say other people, what, in networking or just general
In
life?
networking, in life, I've been told multiple times by people, and maybe this is something to explore as a potential business avenue, but that I should start an ASMR channel. And this was before ASMR took off as like a concept.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So my understanding of that is it's sort of what you'd call sort of everyday noises
Mm.
over and over again. Is that right?
It can be. It stands for something that I can't fully remember. It's something meridian response, but
Okay,
it is usually felt as like a tingling sensation in around your ears or like the back of your ears sometimes. And I cannot for the life of me remember why. There is an evolutionary reason
yeah,
why we have that. It didn't just
sure,
magically happen.
yeah,
But it's often for soft sounds, so like the pitter patter of like gentle rain or someone's soothing voice,
okay,
especially if it is quite breathy. It just triggers something in
right.
people.
Well, and we'll talk about video editing in
Mm.
a second. However, it's quite nice to have a backup plan, isn't it? You
Yes,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If it doesn't work out with video editing, however, it will, because
Mm.
you're very good at what you do,
Thank you.
and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, well, usually these kind of chats, I'm sort of saying to people, let's go back to the beginning, but keep it short.
Hmm.
But you're very new, so you won't have to keep it
It
short.
kind of
So
is the beginning.
exactly, we are kind of chatting at the beginning in
Hmm.
some ways. Because how long have you been in business? Not long.
Yeah, it's been just over a year, I think. I
Okay.
started at the end of 2024, and 2025 has been my kind of test run pilot into this world. And yeah,
Okay.
here we are now.
So just over a year. How's it been so far?
It has been, I think the words I would use to describe it, the most liberating thing that I think I've ever done, and also the most convoluted, I think is the word, because it's not necessarily always bad, but like people say on TCC all the time, it is a bit of a roller coaster, and it is very non-linear is the
Okay.
word that I would use.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to further expand upon that, I guess I should start at the very, very beginning,
Yeah, let's do it.
which is I didn't study to become a video editor at all. It just kind of happened upon me. Um, I studied music production and sound engineering, and for the longest time, I thought I wanted to be a sound engineer, maybe a roadie, if you're familiar with that term.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be in bands, so yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair, fair, fair.
Yeah.
Um, and I went to university, studied it, and realized, wow, I really do not want to be that. I
Okay.
much more prefer being behind the computer, making things, creating things. And I still love music and I do it to this day. And sometimes I get paid for it even, which is a bonus. Um, but it kind of instilled the idea early on that just because you're set on a certain path, or you think that you are set on a certain path, doesn't necessarily mean that that will happen. And that is okay. Because I think for me, uh, the concept of like predetermined path and your fate and destiny being sealed was at school, at least, which is for me very much like a recent memory
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of a
Because
lot of the people that I speak to in business
how old are you
long
now?
past.
Mid-20s?
I am 24
24. Yeah,
currently.
yeah.
So yeah, that's not a huge million miles away. Very much ingrained. You do this, you do that, and then you get this. And it didn't quite end up like that. And for the longest time, that was quite devastating to me. And going through university and then kind of figuring out everything afterwards was a real life lesson that I kind of needed to learn the hard way in order for it to fully cement itself in me. And that brings us on to the kind of treacherous post uni phase of
Okay.
really struggling to land anywhere. Like it was a genuine, quite dark time in my life. But I managed to kind of land on a digital marketing course. It wasn't university affiliated or anything, but it was a really good course that I met lots of people through. And that's how I ended up getting my first video editing client, actually, because throughout the time that I'd been studying, I had been picking up all sorts of things in the kind of creative media world, like how to video edit, how to do scripting, all of this kind of stuff. And it was really funny, actually, because it's one of those things in life where I, once again, didn't set out to become a freelancer initially. There were kind of two routes in this course where you can go into standard employment or you can like be a freelancer. A lot of people on the course were nothing to do with digital marketing. They were just using it to elevate their digital marketing skills to further their business agenda. And I completely ignored all of the freelancing stuff because I was like
Okay.
dead set on I'm going to be employed. I'm going to be that. And I got to the end and realized through talking to a lot of people and self-reflection that I didn't necessarily need to wait for permission to do the things that I want to do.
Mm.
That is, I think, the inciting incident and the best piece of advice that I've kind of learned from this is that you don't need to have it be handed to you or like beg to be handed an opportunity. You can find the right people, foster the right relationships, and work on the projects that you want to work on. Not saying that that happened overnight, very much a journey that I'm still on,
Mm.
but it rewired my brain, I would say, into thinking very differently to how I had previously been thinking.
Because after uni or during uni, had you been employed? Like, what were the and
Yeah,
because
so
obviously from your point of view, the plan was to, I presume, build your career being employed, like you said.
yes,
That
yeah,
that
yeah.
that was the structure of it. So
I had some like work experience doing all sorts of different bits and pieces of things. One of them was being kind of a roadie for some festival work, which was with love and respect to the people that got me the opportunity because I am grateful for it, even though it was quite horrendous, to say the least. It's one of those things. It's such a bizarre feeling to be so grateful for something that was so horrible
yeah, yeah.
because it really made me realize, and this was something that I was talking about earlier in TCC in my one-to-one. It is not when you're doing all of these different things, trying out different things, not time wasted. It is the time cost to figure out what you do want.
Mm.
Because when in life you're presented with lots of different doors, some of them are open, some of them are closed, and you're just going down the hallway. If you open a door and you don't like what's in it, that's not necessarily time wasted. You had to open that door, go inside for a little bit, figure out what's going on to realize that's not for you. But you would have never known had you not opened the door.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was one of those kind of moments. And then, yeah, just all sorts of little bits and pieces. But there was, and I'm quite honest about this when I talk to people, there was a long stretch of time where I was just unemployed. And it was genuinely one of the kind of pits or like big ruts in my life. But I'm so grateful for what's going on now
Mm,
because there's just, yeah, I guess the word I would use is ennui, of like this meaningless or like hopelessness that is so overcome by just finding something that you want to do in life and doing it.
mm.
And I'm still on that journey. Obviously, it would be of supreme benefit to me if I could very much consistently be getting all of these lovely projects. But just even having some of the projects that I've already worked on, and I can say I can tick that off my list and go, I've done that, has been just such a boon to my life.
Mm. So when you were, so if we go back to the moment you decided to go self-employed,
Mhm.
talk me through that.
Yeah. So it kind of came hand in hand with my first client. Um, Initially, I wasn't going to be self employed. It was kind of a conversation of would I be employed by them or would I be kind of freelance contracted? And I think it just came down to a price thing of it's a lot easier to kind of contract people to do things, especially if you don't know how consistently it's going to happen. So that really put me through the crucible of figuring that whole thing out. I'm very lucky to have people in my life that could help me with that endeavor. For example, my mum is an accountant, so all of the setting stuff up was a lot easier and all of that and tracking things. She makes me track everything, like all of the receipts, everything. And it's one of those things where at the start it was really tedious, but I'm so glad that I've done it now
Okay.
because it's such a benefit when it comes to all of the admin stuff. And yeah, it was just a journey of I've got this opportunity. How can I kind of maximize what I get out of it? Because I could have done that project and then gone, okay, I've got that under my belt. Let's go continue with looking for jobs and finding employment elsewhere. And it was part of that rewiring and clicking moment in my brain of going, I don't necessarily need to do that. I could just go find more clients because I've already been building this thing up. This person has agreed to allow me to put stuff on my portfolio. Why not, give this an earnest and genuine go? And if I don't like it, then I don't have to stick with it forever.
Mm,
So
mm.
that's where that kind of started. And going through that journey, at least thus far, I haven't looked back. Yeah.
And so you haven't looked back and you're still going strong, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so from that first client, so you made the decision to go for it.
Mm.
What was, what's been the strategy since then about getting more clients?
Yeah. This is something that I've had lots of conversations about, obviously, because I'm still on this journey. And I think if there was a magical ticket to guaranteeing clients acquisition and success every time, then everyone would do it. It's definitely a skill and something that you kind of hone and develop over time. But nearly like 90%, if not more, of the projects that I've worked on have come through networking, word of mouth, just fostering an actual relationship beyond looking someone up online and going, I'm going to hire them to do something. Because it's like when they're working with me, they know who I am. They've they're aware of kind of my personality, whether we click or not, whether we're a good fit. And that has definitely come from trial and error. There have been conversations, meetings, projects that haven't worked for various reasons. And it's one of those cases of you kind of need to go through those things to kind of figure it out. Yeah.
And so you mentioned networking. Obviously, I'm preaching to the converted in terms of the benefits of networking, especially when you're
Yeah.
first getting started, because I
Yeah.
think a lot of people. But what is really interesting is your age, I think, in some ways,
Hmm.
not the fact that you're new into business, but the fact that for a mid-20s person, the thought of networking and because it has this perception in some
Yeah.
groups, and some groups are, a bit old-fashioned. But I still get it when I talk to mates. Oh, I've got to be up early for business networking tomorrow. It's like, what's the point in that? What do you do? What do you talk about?
Yeah.
So there are these sort of big like sort of perceptional barriers to get over. But what I do, like the first thing I would say to someone starting tomorrow, if they said like, what's the best place to get started?
Yeah.
Is have conversations. Like have conversations and not feel that you're going to get anything from it.
Mm.
Um, and you do that for long enough, and your work's good enough, you get work. Now that it's not a quick fix at all,
Yeah.
but in terms of something that's going to sustain your business, that's where it starts. Conversations, isn't
Yeah.
it, in relationships?
I would agree 100%. And I would even say, regardless of TCC, because obviously being part of this has been huge for me, but even beforehand, when I was first starting, I had no idea what TCC was. It
Mm.
wasn't even on my radar at the very beginning. I was so incredibly fortunate that in this digital marketing course, they would not shut up about networking, like at
Interesting.
all.
Interesting. And that was
Even
digital
for,
marketing.
yeah,
That's
digital
great.
marketing.
Love that.
Can we do shout outs on
Yeah,
this?
yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Shout out Joanna Dennison. She was one of the not necessarily the mentors, but like part of the team there, and she was kind of their networking person,
Amazing.
and she taught me the kind of first steps of networking and kind of what to expect, because up until that point I hadn't really done much networking
Well,
at
why
all.
would you? Like,
Yeah,
if you're looking to be employed or you've got
yeah,
you're employed, you don't need to sort of network, do you?
yeah. Um, but it was one of those things of, at the very beginning, I don't know how I come across now, but I think I have gone on a very transformational journey in terms of presenting myself and getting comfortable talking to other people. Because in the past, I I couldn't even talk to, like, doing this now. I don't think I would have been able to
Mm,
do.
mm.
I was genuinely that shy, unsure, unconfident of everything, and I've picked up little bits and pieces of advice along the way. I think another thing that I'm hugely grateful for is when I did start just sending stuff out into the universe in terms of showing up, getting it horribly wrong or getting it right, was that a lot of the people in these networking calls, especially older ones, actually, it was quite interesting to see, just so free and generous with their words of advice, wisdom, things that they've picked up along the way, their pain and suffering, and they don't want to see other people go through that, has been hugely beneficial to me in terms of that exact thing that you said of talking to people and not necessarily expecting an immediate return on investment is such a huge, like, mindset shift, because previously, like, in education and like regular employment land, I had seen networking as this very transactional thing
Mm,
of you kind of show up with your business card and you're like, here's what I do, here's what I can offer you, what can I get in return, that kind of thing. And that's not what I found. There are places like that, obviously, because it's a whole spectrum. But the best places that I've found for networking are very much the opposite. It's more community driven, building relationships, and then when the time comes for work, you have such a more solid foundation to come up from.
mm,
The actual projects are better, the working relationships are better, everything is just a lot more nicer.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Joanne obviously did a very good job, but I find it was Joanne, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Joanna, or Joe,
Joe,
if you're in
Joe,
the
Joe
know.
to her mates.
Yeah.
Um, so, but what's fascinating is that it was a digital marketing course and they were talking about networking because I would be
Yeah.
thinking that would be very much an afterthought. And obviously, depending on your
No.
business,
Yeah.
would depend on your marketing. But yeah,
Yeah. It
it's
was definitely a case of they were very passionate about the whole marketing side and building up your own thing. But a huge part of the lesson was there's no real point building yourself up if you're not connected to other people.
Hmm,
It's like one of those like isolated grand trees in a forest is ultimately meaningless if its roots aren't connected to every other tree, that kind
yeah,
of situation.
okay,
And that's why they were so big on networking, even if your brand had nothing to do with digital marketing. They were like, it will just help and pay dividends. They were very, very upfront about the fact that it wasn't going to be an overnight thing. And I think that really tempered my expectations in terms
yeah,
of
yeah,
networking.
that's
But
good.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's definitely sort of quality, and not quantity in some ways. Yeah. So, okay. So this is gonna usually you get these kind of questions when someone's been in business 10, 15, 20, 25 years, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe, like you said a second ago, you were talking to people in networking that have been in business for
Yes.
so long.
Yeah.
But but I think this would be interesting because it is quite a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
On day one where you said, right, I'm going freelance, I'm going self-employed, your mum was in your ear saying, get your account sorted.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake that you've made so far?
Ooh. Hmm. That's a really good question because I've made lots of mistakes. Some of them quite big, some of them very, very minor inconveniences. Um,
Would it, in terms of those
yeah,
mistakes you mentioned, are those practical mistakes, say on a project you think, I can't believe I just did that, or is it more mindset, or is it method in terms of sort of general business workings?
yeah.
Um,
I could have a bunch of different examples, but I think if I were to take a really introspective look back at all of this as a whole project and endeavor, I think the biggest mistake that I made fairly early on, as you're probably aware, and like everyone listening is probably already aware of the concept of feast and famine in terms of getting a whole bunch of projects in at once, making a bunch of money, and then nothing, tumbleweed goes across the screen. In those kind of lull periods, especially the earliest ones when I wasn't fully aware of that concept and I was like, wow, life is going great. I have all these projects, and then it dried up and I was suddenly confronted by like, what am I going to do? Was genuinely not taking care of myself. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned to try and do regardless of what happens, because not only is it just beneficial to do as a human being in general, But as a business owner who is the business, for example, like I'm as a freelancer, it's just me. If you work with me, it's just me, unless I'm working with a kind of small team of people. But I don't have any like grand employees. I'm not, your Coca-Cola mega conglomerate. If I'm sick or ill or not feeling okay, that impacts my ability to do work. And it's something I only really truly appreciated in my heart of hearts when that was the case and I wasn't taking care of myself and it was affecting my ability to get clients at a specific time. I remember there was a period where I was getting proposals, but I was in such a negative state in my life that it was quite hard to put everything together in time, in like a reasonable amount of time. Stuff that would normally take me a day, maybe a week at most, was taking me months
Mm,
to like
mm.
get back to people and do all of this stuff. And it really got to a point where I was like, okay, I should actually just start taking care of myself. And as soon as I started doing that, things kind of, you can weather the storm a little bit more. That's the biggest piece of advice I think I would give to people starting a business, is to just really truly take care of yourself.
Um, well, they say health is wealth, isn't it?
That is true.
And it's pretty hard to be wealthy without being healthy. So because, like you say, yeah, yeah. And so, um, no, you can go as far as you want with this. And you don't have to answer it at all. But you were
Mm-hmm.
talking about self-care, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
sounded like that was more on the mental side rather than the physical
Yeah.
side. I know they're very intertwined, of course.
Yeah.
But were there certain things that was there one day where you thought, right, line in the sand, this is what I'm going to do differently? Or
Yeah. No, I wish there was. That would be very cinematic.
it would.
I think with life, things kind of ebb and flow a lot more. Um, it was very much a case of working on mindset stuff. And this is something that is kind of interesting from a business perspective as well, because I was talking to people, I guess you could kind of call it coaching at some capacity, and realizing I had a huge, and maybe I still do, I'm on a journey, confidence problem. And that was affecting literally everything in my life, not just business, but obviously trying to do more work at that point was affecting it. So mental health, I would say, exceptionally important. And that was a process of unlearning stuff, not necessarily kind of rituals of meditation or journaling, even though I would say those kind of practices can help people a lot. It's more addressing all of the things in your life that you have beliefs in that you think are set in stone. That, like, I'm not good enough to do X thing. And really unpacking that and doing all of that work, that took a long time. And once you're over it, though, or like, I wouldn't even say over it, once you've kind of realized and had that kind of epiphany that you actually are capable of doing stuff and that it's a kind of journey and you constantly get better, is then when things in tandem with business started to go better. I started advocating for myself more, and that kind of, yeah, like a positive feedback loop helped me get into a better mental state, helped me get into a better physical state because I'm feeling like I want to take care of myself more.
Hmm.
Hopefully that answered your question. I don't know.
It has absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think it's it's one of those things that what comes first is chicken or the egg, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
if you are feeling good on a day, for instance,
Mm,
keeping it really simple, you're more likely to do positive things for your mental health, your physical
mm,
health. and then by proxy your business. And then
Yes.
if you have a couple of good days because you've had that first day, well then a kind of a momentum
Yes.
can build up. So then it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And of course, if you zoom out, there's going to be ups and downs. But
Mm.
generally speaking, if you get the foundations right, like a lot of business, I think is nothing to do with business actually.
Yeah.
Um, because if you get the foundations right and you're a decent person, and like we started this conversation talking about conversations and relationships, that's actually the most important thing, isn't it? So
Yeah.
no, it totally answers the question. Yeah, yeah. So we've only got a couple of minutes left. So I don't know if this might have to spill over to another episode. Who knows? Um,
Maybe.
but so if you can try and keep this to around about 2 or 3 minute answer, something like that.
Okay.
We'll see how we go. But obviously, my last question was about the your biggest, potentially your biggest mistakes in
Hmm.
over the last year or so. What's been your biggest win? Has there been a champagne moment where you thought, "Wow, that's unbelievable," and I'm just going to enjoy this moment?
Absolutely. And I think it's inspired me to do more stuff. So obviously very quickly because we're wrapping things up. But start a whole side topic. I'm currently working on a video game, and that's been a kind of bucket list passion project for the longest time. And I was inspired to do that actually by life coming full circle. So I studied music production and sound engineering, and I have a huge passion for video games as a player, as a connoisseur, I guess. And I'd always wanted to do the music and sound design for video games. And actually, through Martin, shout out to Martin,
Go on, Whiskers.
um, he knew a guy. I ended up doing some of their trailers for this kind of video game company. And eventually, through kind of talking and building a relationship, buzzword or buzz phrase, managed to end up doing the sound and music for a video game that you can play on Steam if you want. It's called Bunny Bunker. Most of their games are about bunnies in some capacity, but kind of cozy, feel good video game with light strategic elements. And yeah, I recorded in this room all of the sounds
Amazing.
and all of the kind of music stuff as well. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome. That's great that you've got like one of those champagne moments as well. Obviously, there's going to be a huge amount in your career, which is amazing. But I think one thing that um, is it's a small point, but I think so much, and I'm pretty bad at this. I've got better, definitely.
Mm,
So much of business is like we were saying, the foundational stuff, but also just having a bit of reflection time and thinking, oh, that's good. Like celebrating those small wins
for
is really,
sure.
really important. And just
I
sitting with them as well, not just going on to the next, going on to the next. So
Yes. Yeah.
that's lovely that you brought up that moment straight away. That's great.
Yeah. Just really quickly, because obviously we're wrapping this up, but shout out to a person that I don't know if they would be listening to this, but Doris Walsh, met ages ago through networking. She does kind of coaching stuff, but I had like a genuinely life transforming one to one with her where she was talking all about celebrating your wins, because that was something at the start I wasn't doing at all. And that's why everything felt very hamster wheelish.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, you can do this, celebrate like even small wins and just get into the habit of doing that. And everything kind of has shifted a lot more in terms of the satisfaction and like gratitude that I have for doing work has just completely shifted. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
100% agree.
Love that. Yeah, no, but it's an odd thing, but by bringing the kind of the bar down in terms of celebrating, it just
Mm.
you get into that momentum, don't you? So
Yeah.
that's awesome. All right. Well, we're still on time. We've got loads of time left. But Duncan, that has been I knew it was going to be a good chat, and you didn't let me down. That was awesome. So thank you for spending your Wednesday afternoon with me.
Thank you.